everyone. Today we are going to cover another interesting problem, minimum remove to make valid parentheses. So we are given an input string yes, and we have to return the output by removing the extra parenthesis in the string to make it a valid parenthesis string. So let's understand the problem statement with an example. Here is our given input string yes. A string yes is said to be valid if it has open parenthesis and corresponding close parenthesis for the open parenthesis. If there is an extra parenthesis, we have to remove them to make it valid. So here in the string, there is a open parenthesis before T and C. For C, there is a corresponding close parenthesis after C, and the parenthesis after O is considered to be the close parenthesis of one which is before T, and finally there is one extra parenthesis at the end, and we have to remove this in order to make it valid. Always when we see parenthesis problem, the first thing that stuck our mind is going to be stack. Again, we are going to implement this using a stack. Here we are going to have a stack which is going to hold the indexes of parenthesis. Instead of holding any character, it is just going to hold the indexes of the parenthesis. And now let's get into our solution. Here is a case 1, that is having an extra open parenthesis. So here we are going to use a stack to hold the indexes of every open parenthesis and a string builder which is going to construct our result string. So first we are going to push the indexes of open parenthesis alone, not close parenthesis, only if it is an open bracket. So now the index of this string is going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have encountered an open parenthesis which is at index 0. So I'm going to put 0 here. So and add the open parenthesis here to my string builder. The next character is A. It is not going to work anything with the parenthesis thing. So we are moving on to next thing, that is another open bracket. So we are going to push that to our stack, that is the index of that bracket. It is going to be 2. So next, moving on to our next character B, which is not a bracket. So we are going to, so far we have to append one more bracket and then B. And we are moving to the next character, that is open parenthesis again at the index 4. We are going to push that to our stack and to our string builder, and C is a character, so we are going to simply append it, and we encountered our first close parenthesis. In this case we are going to pop that from our stack if the stack is not empty. Very important, if the stack is not empty. So if the stack is not empty, we are going to pop one value from stack, which means this particular bracket has its open corresponding open bracket. So again, moving on to our next character D, it is not a bracket, so we are going to simply append it to the string builder. And finally we have arrived at our last bracket, and which is a closed bracket. So we are going to pop again a value from stack, which is again mean it has its corresponding open bracket already in the string. So now we are done parsing the stack and our string builder is ready with our string. In this case, we are going to check our stack, what is there left in the stack. As we are pushing only open brackets index to the stack, we have one open bracket extra left in the stack for us. So simply we have to delete the character at this index from the string builder to get desired string. Our stack simply says us there is an extra open bracket exist at this index, go and delete them. So now we have 0 at our stack, so we have to delete the character at 0. That will make the string A bracket B bracket C close braces D and a close braces at the end. So this is our valid string. Here comes our case 2. In our case 2, we are going to deal with extra close parenthesis. In our previous case, it was extra open parenthesis. Here, it is going to be extra closed parenthesis. So here again we are going to have a string builder and our stack. So again our stack is going to hold the open parenthesis indexes and pop if it encounters a close parenthesis. In this case, first character itself is a close parenthesis, so we cannot pop something from a stack because our stack is empty in this case. So now we are going to have a counter of extra close parenthesis every time we encounter a close parenthesis and the stack is empty. So now we have our count as 1 because we encountered a close parenthesis and we have nothing in our stack to pop. Again, we are not going to add it to our string builder because we know it is an extra bracket. So in this case, moving on to a second character, which is A, I'm going to add A. Third character is B, I'm going to add B to our string builder. And the fourth character is going to be open parenthesis, which I'm going to have pushed in my stack. So I pushed 4. Moving on to C, I'm going to add the close open parenthesis to the string builder and a C as well. And next encountered a close parenthesis, I'm simply going to append it and pop that from stack because we have corresponding open parenthesis here in the string. The final character is a D, which is a character, and I'm going to append that to my string builder, and that's it. Our iteration ends. Our string builder has actually constructed our result by ignoring an extra open parenthesis at the beginning because we found it is an extra at the initial stage itself and we did not append it to the string builder. So how did we know it is extra? We checked our stack whether there is an open braces to pop. No, there is no open braces. In that case, it is clearly an extra, so we ignored appending to this substring. So if this is the case, it is gonna be this way, and our count has a purpose in our next case. Here comes our third case where there are equal number of open brackets and close brackets, but they are not in order. So if you consider the string given, we have one closed bracket at the beginning and one open bracket at the end, which are not in order. So we have to remove both of them in order to get a valid string or valid parenthesis string. So now, so far we have a string builder to construct our result string and a stack to keep hold of the index of open brackets and a count which is going to count the number of extra close braces. So let's start traversing our string. Let us start from the 0th index and we have one close bracket first. We're going to check our stack whether it has any corresponding open braces. No, our stack is empty. In that case, we clearly know it is an extra extra closed bracket. So in this case, we are going to increment our counter to 1 and not going to append this to our string builder. Why? Because we know it is an extra. Now moving on to our index 1, which is an alphabet, we are going to append it to a string builder. Moving on to our index 2, which is an open bracket, so we are going to push it to our stack, the index of the open bracket. Moving on to our index 3, which is an alphabet, so we append it to our string builder. And moving on to our index 4, which is a close bracket, we are going to check our stack whether it has its corresponding open bracket. Yes, it has at index 2, so I'm simply popping it from our stack and put that into our string builder. So now it is the fifth character is C, so I'm gonna append it to string builder. And moving on to our sixth index, it has a open bracket, so I'm gonna push that into our stack, the index, and then gonna append it to my string builder. Finally, D is an alphabet, so I'm gonna append it. So far our string builder has constructed a string which has one extra parenthesis before D, which has to be removed in order to get a valid parenthesis string. So here we comes to our stack to check whether what are we left with in our stack. So in this case, our stack is going to hold only open brackets. So we have open bracket at index 6. We have to remove a character from the new string builder at the position 6 minus 1. So here what is 6? 6 is going to be the position or index of a extra open bracket. And why 1? because here we have not included a closed bracket at the beginning, because we are keeping the count of number of extra closed braces. So that many brackets we are not going to include our string builder. Since we haven't included or we removed those brackets, our each index is gonna get incremented by that. Suppose if a string is having two open brackets and starts having its string, the first two open brackets will not be included in our string builder. Our string builder will hold only the characters after the two open brackets. In this case, the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gonna change 0 starting at A to 1, 2, 3. So here we actually keep count of this extra open bracket, closed brackets, to actually determine how many times our new string builder has shifted its index. For example, there is a extra two closed braces, so our count is going to be 2. If you observe, our new string builder has shifted all the indexes after this closed brackets by 2 times. So the fifth index was shifted to third index. Similarly, here our extra bracket was at the index 6. Now we haven't included our one extra open bracket closed bracket at the first position, so our count is now 1. It actually now shifted to the fifth position, that is the index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We have our extra open bracket at the position 5. So we have to check whether we have an extra open bracket, and we actually know if there is a closed bracket before, then the index will be shifted by the number of closed brackets present. So finally have to delete the character from the string builder at the position where our extra bracket minus the number of closed brackets we did not include in our string builder. Now let's remove the character at position 5. We get A open bracket, B closed bracket, C, and finally D. So this is going to be our result string. So simple. We deal with it by pushing our open bracket into a stack. If there is a closed bracket, we then try to pop it. If the stack is empty, we're going to keep count of our number of extra closed brackets, and finally we're going to check if there is an open bracket in stack, and we're going to remove that by minus the index from that position. If not, we simply going to return the string builder string. So let's see how are we going to code. Here is our code. I have declared a stack and a string builder and a variable extra open bracket to count or keep track of the extra open brackets and a character C. So let's iterate our string starting from index 0. I'm going to check whether my character is an open bracket. Then I'm going to append it with my string builder and push it to our stack. If not, if it is a closed bracket, then I'm going to check if stack is empty or not. If stack is not empty, then I'm going to append it to my string builder and pop the value from stack. If the stack is empty, then we know it is an extra bracket, so we're going to keep count of that. Finally, we're going to append if it is an alphabet to our string builder. So once we have done constructed our string builder, we're going to check our stack if there is something left for us in our stack. So if the stack is not empty, which means we have some extra brackets, we have to deal with them. So we are going to pull that index from stack and delete the characters at index minus extra open brackets. If there is no extra open brackets, then it will be 0. So just delete the extra brackets at the indexes. Finally return the string builder to a string. So that's it. Let's run. Yes, our solution is submitted. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please do like and subscribe. Thank you.